Digital 410 Productions proudly presents the What's in Your Head podcast.
Digitized live from
Your company name here.
the studios in Cape Coral, Florida. It's the What's in Your Head podcast.
Two guys, one
Now
camera.
we can't. Now we can't hear you at all.
Oh, no.
Lost that audio.
Oh,
Nope.
nope.
Nah.
Fucking it up.
Whatever you did wrong.
Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's shit.
Sometimes good, sometimes it may be shit.
Maybe his light's low.
Maybe.
I don't know. Do I
Is that
need
the
more
camera
light?
Hey, there he
the
is.
camera I sent you?
Yay.
Jesus
Did I send you a
Christ.
camera or no?
Huh?
Yeah, that's the camera you gave me.
Okay, gotcha. Right.
Right.
What's up, OG5? Welcome to another episode of the What's Your Head podcast, where we just get shit started right away, because, fuck it, why not? I think my mic friend's a little hot. I'm going to turn me down a little bit. What's up, Bob? This is not a desk. We don't care about rules.
What you doing, boy?
Hi, my name's Hobo Johnson. So what's up, fellas?
Nothing.
I like the way your hat matches your shirt, Mike. You look like you're going to a family reunion.
I was kind of going for that, so thank you for the
Got the
compliment.
nice yellow bill.
Yeah, the old trash hat and the old high vis.
Yeah, can you turn your
Looks
mic up
like
a little bit?
The high vis beer company shirt.
Gotcha.
My mic's not
You
hot
look
enough?
like you should be,
You're a little low.
be on a carnival cruise.
Hey. Why you gotta talk bad about the Carnival Cruise?
Hey.
I'm still working on my Carnival Cruise video. Like, I'm trying to do voiceover on it because, I can't have all that crap playing in the background. So I'm like, just every night I'm just recording like 10 minutes worth of VO work. And then I'll say, I'll work on the rest of this later. Oh, hey, fellas, you guys work in the service industry. You guys lift heavy shit. What's rule number one of lifting heavy shit?
Lift with your legs, not your back.
Correct. Lift with your back, save your knees.
Yep.
If you were to, I don't know, stash a pallet of 80-pound bags of concrete, do you think the best place to put it is either under a 4-foot shelf or on top of a 4-foot shelf, or maybe in the open floor where someone could just squat down and pick it up?
On top of a 4-foot shelf all day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, no. You definitely
top tier.
want to have to reach to the back of the shelf
Yeah.
underneath while squatting in an awkward position to get
Like
it
do
out.
like a Roman split squat, if you will.
Yeah.
And, because after all, they put concrete in nice thick burlap sacks, like a hefty sack, like no, it's like in a 2-ply paper bag that you get from Publix. So the Beagle got out today.
No.
Harry drove home. Some lady's walking Chloe down the street, and apparently she's been out running the neighborhood chasing rabbits since like 11 a.m.
Wow.
Yes,
Holy
fucking dog.
shit.
So she dug another hole. So I
Under the
do as I
fence,
tend to
yeah.
do when she digs another hole. I head on down the old family Lowe's, park the old truck outside, and mosey on. Hey, can I get an 80-pound bag of concrete? Usually they say, sure, here's a receipt. Pull up out front there and show it to the fellers, or if no one's around, you're more than welcome to throw that bad boy in the back of your truck. But, if you want a little help, just present the receipt, and there you go. Sure, thanks. As Mike can attest, I'm no stranger to lifting heavy bags of shit. I do it for fun and torture on my days off. I like to walk around the neighborhood with a 50-pound bag of sand on my shoulder. So I'm not afraid to pick up a 80-pound bag of concrete.
Sure.
But even the most diehard 40-hour, 80-hour a week concrete worker will tell you, even the best concrete bag leaks from the corners where they fold it in at the top.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a breaded bag of sugar where it's sealed up, or bag of flour. It's folded over like a button-up shirt in a white box that your grandma gift wrapped for Christmas. So it's going to make a mess, which is fine. That's not so. Colored me surprised when I showed up at Lowe's tonight, and I mosey inside and I say, "Hey, let me get an 80-pound bag of concrete." She said, are you a contractor? Do you have a contractor account with us? No, sure do not. Okay, you got to go to aisle 3. Concrete outside's for the contractors. Pardon me? The concrete outside is for the contractors, sir. You and the unwashed masses have to go down aisle 3 and schlep the concrete through the store. Let me get this right. Your new policy states that the people who work with concrete full time can get assistance loading it in their truck, and the people who never move concrete have to schlep it through your store. Sounds good. So I mosey on down to aisle 3, and there's 2 stacks of concrete. One of them is under said 5-foot tall shelf where you'd have to do the Roman split squat and not hit your head, not give yourself a hernia or pull out your back. Or the other option is the lowest bag is going to be 4.5 feet. The highest bag on that stack is going to be 7.5 feet. You know, I'm sure it's not OSHA violation at all.
No.
So being 6'5", I'm not afraid of a little bit of weight. I opt to save my lower back and my hernia and get the one off the top shelf on the pallet, the last bag. Now, of course, if you work in the industry where you put your product in paper bags and put it on a pallet, by no means would you think to put maybe a sleeve of cardboard on said pallet and protect your product, because if you didn't rupture, then you couldn't sell more bags of concrete to your supply people. And so I ignoramulously went to go pick up said bag of concrete, and it split open like a sack of, well, fucking concrete, and proceeded to pour all over my brand new Adidas, all over aisle 3. So there's nothing more traction worthy. Nothing provides confidence in one step on a polished concrete floor than concrete dust and aggregate. You know, that's what you want when you live in Florida and you got 80-year-olds walking up and down your aisles. So I did as any self-respecting content creator would. I shot myself a fucking TikTok. So I've been coming to this Lowe's for like 12 years. Now, occasionally my beagle digs a hole underneath my fence. So I come down here to get a bag of concrete to fill the hole up to prevent them from digging out again. And in the past, you just pull up, park your car, walk in here, pay for an 80-pound bag of concrete, pull up to the outdoor place, show them a receipt, and then you could throw your concrete in your truck, Bob's your uncle. Just informed today that the policy has changed, and if you're not a contractor and you don't have a contractor account, you got to walk down this aisle here and throw the bag in your concrete in your cart and schlep it out to your car, which is fine, except for when they store the concrete above the floor and then the bags get holes in them and then they dump out all over your feet. Karma, I guess, for me pointing out the fact that it's a little ironic that people who don't deal with concrete have to come schlep this stuff, but people who deal with it for a living will have it loaded in their trucks for them. And then I went about my way, and I walked up to the lady that I had mentioned my surprise that they would have people who never deal with concrete manipulate this shit in their store. Showed her my feet, which she laughed and rang me up. Now, I used to hang out with a couple of guys named Stan and Haney. They had a few slogans, a few mottos, a few life rules, if you will, and one of those was think things through the logical conclusion. Now, Morgan, me, you, and Mike, we're having a meeting there at Lowe's, and I say, hey, fellas, contractors have been complaining about the annoying retail people getting in their way, and they're trying to get in and out. They're in a hurry, and times are tough, times are hard. We need to do everything we can to increase our sales and bring in as business clients. You know, they pay us a little extra. We give them a little help and give them bulk discounts and help them track down the things that they can't find any other place. Customer service. So here's what we're going to do. You know those fucking annoying people who come here and just buy onesies, twosies, bag of concrete at $6 a piece, which clearly we're making no profit off of with the low overhead we have. You know, we only mark shit up 78% here. We're going to have them walk down aisle 3 and bend over and Roman split squat this shit off the floor, or maybe do a clean and jerk when it's 5 feet above their head. You know, heaven forbid that some 55-year-old dude who hasn't lifted weights since high school, who completely overestimates his ability to lift heavy shit, you know, were to drop one and, I don't know, break his fucking femur. Just a thought. We're going to do that. Would any of you raise your hand and say, sir, over here, thought, question? Yes, go ahead. Put aside the possibility of someone breaking a femur. Me, Mike, and Morgan, we work in the wood and the concrete area, and one of the most annoying tasks we have at the end of every day is you guys make us sweep the concrete out in the parking lot, sweep up the loose concrete and dirt and
debris,
putting it out there. Not sure you want that inside the fucking store. Just saying. I
Yeah.
understand what you're saying there, Morgan, but we got to clear all these annoying fucking people out from the idea. Sure, just throwing it out there. At the other opposite end of the store, we have this place we call the Garden Center. That's where we keep heavy shit like cinder blocks, railroad tiles, fence posts, garden gnomes, water fountains. Perhaps, just maybe, we put a pallet or two down there for the unwashed masses. And when they come to get their bag of concrete, we say, hey, I appreciate you rolling down to this end of the store, but if you could do us a huge favor, this is kind of for our contractors. If you could take your dirty ass down to the garden center, they will help you out there and you can load it in your car there. Just a thought, but no, we're just going to put it right there in aisle 3 and let the let the concrete roll where it may. So with all that being said, if anybody can suggest how to clean concrete off a brand new suede Adidas, send me an email to info@d-410.com because clearly you can't put water on it. So just throwing it out there.
Air compressor with a blower nozzle.
That's exactly what I was thinking, but
Yep.
it's still not going to get it all out.
No, it's not.
I have a pair of pants that from hurricane season when I was replanting fence posts and I got a little concrete on and washed them. They got permanent gray split. I mean, it kind of looks like 1980s fucking stonewash, so it's not too bad. But I was like, I tell my brother, I was like, for the first time in 3 years, I bought a pair of shoes that weren't fucking Hey Dudes. And they got fucking concrete all over them. Who would have ever thought that the Epstein files would present the hypothesis that Michael Jackson and the Neverland Ranch was actually there to protect high profile kids and give them a alternative? Just to say, hey, instead of going to this island, why don't you come here and play with my fucking monkeys and ride my roller coasters? That's the new working hypothesis that no, Michael Jackson didn't molest kids. He was basically framed for not playing along, and that the Neverland Ranch was basically built to try to persuade high profile kids to not go on the island and come hang out there and be safe. Who would have thunk?
Have you heard this
Says-
the supposed final phone call, or did one of you send that? Somebody sent that. It was Michael Jackson's supposed final phone call to his doctor. And I think it was referencing that theory.
Mm-hmm.
Um
Was this phone call from the Epstein files or did somebody else produce it?
No, I don't know who produced it. It was
And-
just a random video that I saw that had an audio recording that's probably dated about around that time, the shitty signal or shitty landline or whatever. And shitty receivers. And it was kind of his voice, and the person that was responding was saying Michael and kept saying something about they're gonna come get me. I'll be dead either way, or something like that. Something to those effects, where he was fearing for his life, and they were trying to tie it into the whole Epstein problem.
Well, with all the stuff that we know now, with being lied to about every little thing, I wouldn't put it past them. However, sadly, with where we are with technology, it's like the cynical folks amongst us used to say you're guilty until proven innocent because that's the
Right.
way the law treats you.
Right.
Now it's basically everything's fake until proven real because of AI. It's like you
Yeah.
can't trust anything now. It's like everything's fake
Right.
until proven real otherwise.
Right.
And so, but
and
yeah,
and how do you know in your own little bubble if it's going to be real?
yeah,
I
because
mean, because you're just trusting whatever you find on your phone or whatever you find on the internet or whatever. So
yeah, and if AI is making it, right? If AI is
Right.
making this piece of data, then what's stopping AI from counterfeiting the metadata of when this was allegedly created, right? Because usually, well,
Correct.
what you do is look at metadata, you can see that this file was recorded onto a computer back in 1995. But if
Right.
the AI robot's making that file, it can hypothetically, at least
it
at
could
root
alter that
level, it could
information.
alter that information too. And I don't know
Yeah.
if you would be able to, if a high-end computer nerd would be able to, in court, say, no, actually, when we look at the code, you can tell it was actually generated on this date. Because
But but millions of lines of code go into
Mhm.
such small things. Do you think someone would actually be able to decode that?
That's a very good point because,
That would take a very long time.
yeah, but then you almost wonder if a data forensics could say, well, because of the lines of code in here, you can tell that this lines of code is generating this pixel versus here's a minimum line of code because you're recording an analog feed. You know what I mean?
True.
It would be like the difference of the quality of something in 8K versus, 1080p or actually
Right.
740 back in the
Right.
day. You would almost wonder if you could run it through and see that because of the
How small the information is
or
over
how
here
big the
versus how,
information is for
right.
that matter. Because once again,
Right.
you find you a photo that you took on your digital camera in 1999, and that thing was 1.2 kilobits. Now you take a photo on your HD phone and it's 2 megs, which
Yeah.
is 3 times the size.
Right.
So I don't know. That's a good question, but it's
To put on our tinfoil hats here, is anything real anymore? Is it
Well,
all a
not since
simulation?
not since the glitch.
The glitch, which one?
What was it? It was like 2016 or whatever it was, where
Was
the
that
world.
the hypothesis?
Yeah, there's one that says that the world came to an end in I think it was 2016, if I
Hmm.
remember right. So that's why there's all of this Mandela effect,
Mhm.
because when they built the simulation that we're all now living in, it was close but not perfect.
Hmm.
That's
So
why
that's
Morgan's
why.
camera looks like he's an AI feed from 1997, like 1998. But no, to
Yeah,
Morgan's point, the whole you cannot tell me and Morgan that there was no Horn of Plenty on the Fruit of the Loom logo because that's where most of us learned what that thing was fucking called.
the
The
cornucopia.
The
cornucopia?
cornucopia, the Horn of Plenty.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, oh, there's no corn. The fuck there wasn't.
Yeah. No,
I'm sure
there was.
I have T-shirts that are 20 years old. I don't know if they're Fruit of the Loom but somebody's already done that. They've already gone to the thrift store and shown the fucking old tags.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But who's controlling the information and telling us that that's not real?
The
So
Illuminati.
So what you're saying is
That brings in a
the
whole
beta
nother.
version of the world we were the beta version the version 1.2 of the simulation we were living in 1980s. They had a bad line of code, put a cornucopia on there, but now in 2025, the new version 8.6, they don't have that.
Hmm.
And the crazy thing is, long before the Matrix, this was back in 1995, 96. Discovery Channel had a show, and it had that same Asian guy who never ages, the one who talks about the alien shit now. It was a program about uploading, and they're talking
Yeah.
about how scientists were trying to create a computer simulation that was identical to the world. And I remember this quote, and in science, quote unquote, an exact replica is the original. If you can make the exact replica of something, meaning all the way down to the minutest molecular structure, it's an original.
Hmm.
And they're talking about how people, and this was in the 90s, so 40-year-olds back then were volunteering that when they're on their deathbed, that they're going to try to have their electrical brain waves, you know, compiled into a computer signal and uploaded into a hard drive. And you wouldn't know the difference between being alive and in a simulation. Of course, 3 years later, The Matrix came out kind of talking about that same thing. And the
Yeah.
reason I remember this so well is because it had the most top of the line screensaver-esque style fucking computer graphics and faces and straight out of like the graphics of Lawnmower Man back, ooh, wow, this is super, super hardcore to the point that they played this show so much that I recorded a copy. And to show you people how long I've actually been content creating, and I think I mentioned this before, when I was in middle school, my dad worked for Master Foods and he was making training videos. And so we had a Zenith VCR that I had since second grade. And then time I'm in middle school, my dad got a JVC VCR that had a tracking wheel where you could control the speed. And then that old Zenith had audio RCA inputs. And what my brother had figured out is I had a Magnavox CD player boombox that had RCA outputs. And my brother figured out that we can run the RCA outputs into the RCA inputs on the JVC and go into the video and record audio layers. And so what me, Gordon, and my buddy Nick would do is we went around the neighborhood in Round Grove City and made skateboard videos. I edited them together using the 2 VCRs, so it looked like what you got at Skateboard Shop, and then used the boombox, and it had Korn and playing in the background, and Bad Religion, and it was like a homemade skate version of what you'd get at the store.
Yeah.
And we called the video play because I couldn't figure out how to turn the display off. So every time I went to the clip to start the play, it would say play in the top corner. So you see me skating, ollie down steps, and then it would transition to the next scene, but you knew it was the next scene because it would say play. Could never get that away, but it had audio on it. And we had this thing for years. And then when I was in the band in the early 2000s, we recorded some of our parties on that tape. And my roommate's brother got shit-faced drunk, and Brad recorded him. He got pissed and destroyed the video, and I don't have the video anymore. Nick lost his copy, which fucking destroys me.
Yeah.
But so I've been editing videos for fucking ever, but I completely lost my train of thought of where I was going with that. But
well, we were talking about the the Matrix.
Oh yes, and so the reason I remember that episode so high, they played it so often, and that's when I started smoking weed back in high school. And so because of the graphics and all that, I recorded that TV show, deleted all the talking head stuff, where it was just computer graphics, and then I overlaid techno music on it. And so then after school, when I would go out and get shit faced, I'd lay in my water bed with my black lights, I would play that video, and you would have all the graphics and the shit from that TV show with Lords of Acid and all the techno and house music playing over it. So I'd seen the show so many times that I recorded it so I could edit it and basically turn it into like a 1990s equivalent of a YouTube stoner video.
Either Bebop or Jasper just opened the door and one of them swapped out. One came in and one went out, I think.
Both gone now. Apparently Carrie went back and watched the video in the house, and Bailey was like rip shit, had anxiety because Chloe was gone all day.
Wow.
He was like running the house crying. But I just showed the Boston Terriers. They didn't dig that. They could have easily went out that hole.
Yeah.
But no, they stayed here like, fuck it, we got it good here. But Chloe apparently was chasing rabbits all goddamn day.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's all, to Mike's point, yeah, maybe that's what the Mandela effect is. It's just content that didn't make the transition to the new version. Carrying a firearm daily comes with serious responsibilities. Responsibilities your everyday counterparts may not have to consider. Knowing where you can and cannot legally bring your firearm is crucial. But sometimes, life takes you places where carrying isn't an option. That's where the Stopbox Pro portable gun safe comes in. Securely store your firearm in your vehicle while handling life's obligations. Safety, responsibility, and with peace of mind. Stopbox Pro. Protection when you need it. Security when you don't.
Weird.
Yeah, I don't know anymore.
Weird.
Speaking of weird,
the Shazam Kazam thing too.
How about El Paso, Texas?
What about it?
You didn't hear about El Paso this morning?
Yeah,
the fucking
they shut
airport
down
got
the
shut down.
airspace. Yeah,
For 10 days.
From today?
It was supposed to be shut. So this morning I saw a TikTok from one of my news content guys, and he shared the air traffic control tower conversation with the Southwest Airlines pilot from the early, basically midnight last night. They were coming in, red eye flight or whatever. She's like, hey, are you guys dropping off and taking back off again? The pilot's like, no, we're going to a hotel. She's like, okay, I just want to let you know, the FAA just shut our airspace down until the 20th. You need to let Southwest know, basically saying you guys go to that hotel, you're not taking off in the morning. He's like, okay, so the FAA put in a temporary until when? She's like, the 20th. He's like, 10 days? She's like, yeah. He's like, they're shutting the airspace down for 10 days. And he's like, you guys are closing down for 10. No, she's like, no, we'll be here. Just the airspace is closed down. He's like, for what reason? They're not telling, just citing security reasons. So at this morning, the initial plan was to shut down that airspace for 10 days, citing high security risk. And so, of course, that makes you wonder, and my boss is hypotheticalizing that maybe something was going on over in Juarez, which he wasn't too far off. By 11:30 today, they reopened the airspace and said that some drug cartel drones flew into our airspace, and the military had to fucking basically take them out using EMPs or whatever.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
how's that for just another weird thing that happened in the last, what, 37 days of 2026?
Well, what was that video? Was it you? Again, I get him confused sometimes, but whoever had sent a video about, or maybe I just watched it. These guys that go out and they do tack shooting and stuff like that, and they do their, go through their, scanning sectors, and they learn how to move and,
Mhm.
stack up and all that kind of shit. And they do all the real tactical shit. And the guy was like, "You want to know what you should really learn how to do? Skeet shoot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Shoot, skeet, go out, go hunt some birds and stuff like that. Not only for, if you're a survivalist and, for the survival aspect, but drone warfare is right here.
Yeah,
It's not that far away.
I think
I
in
mean, it's already
Ukraine,
happening in other parts of the country. I mean, if they're talking about, drug cartels are bringing in drones with drugs on them or whatever, or who knows what, and we're having to use EMP pulses to take them down, that kind of warfare is not that far away.
oh, and I think if you go to Russia and Ukraine right now, you could probably trade 3 AKs for one 12 gauge shotgun.
Right,
Those things are at a high premium now because that's
right,
basically the only thing they truly have.
right. Put in a good bird shot or a good buckshot or something like that, and you'll take it down.
Hmm.
Hit it in a good spot, you'll blow it up as it fucking
God, they're
flies.
quick. Those things are fucking fast.
But I mean, yeah, learn how to skeet shoot because I mean that's
Apparently, what
not
they're
that
doing
far away.
now, because I saw a video about 2 weeks ago from a Russian tank, and they sent out some sort of electric charge. Apparently, what they're doing now is the enemy, depending on what side you're on, they're all doing the same tactics. They're pre-staging drones. Instead of them flying around, they're basically saying, okay, this is a well-traveled road, and they just have these drones hovering pre-staged on the side of the road. And so the people driving the vehicles are sending out impulses, basically causing them to detonate, a couple hundred yards before they get to them. So they're just showing this APC driving on the street, and you see, and then another. So yeah, they're not even now. They're just they're so cheap and they're so plentiful. They're pre-staging them now.
Yeah, and just program them to just sit there and hover 3 to 5 feet above the deck.
You hear those stories about going back from Vietnam even to modern day now, where veterans get a little anxious during Fourth of July celebrations. 5, 8, 10 years from now, that's going to be anytime some neighborhood kid's out flying their drone, some veteran's going to get fucking PTSD just hearing that sound.
Well, and then, somebody with a shotgun is going to take out the kid's drone.
Yeah,
Hey,
But
son of a
so
bitch.
my my
people. Go ahead, Morgan.
my concerns for a while has been EMPs,
Mm-hmm.
and it would be so easy to fly a drone over, a densely populated neighborhood and just whack everybody's electronics. And yeah, I think that's probably going to be, if I had to say, what would be the only viable method of attack on U.S. soil. And then they wouldn't have to put a soldier on because we'd all end up fighting each other because nobody, nobody knows how to order a radish when there isn't a
Mm-hmm.
Publix or something.
Well, I found it was interesting probably 15 years ago, maybe more. I don't know. We were having a conversation in the military about it where we were thinking about it, and it's like warfare could end up becoming like video game like,
It
you
kind of
know,
already is.
in a sense where, they're controlling predators from, you know, battleships,
Mm-hmm.
and they're sending them a couple hundred miles away, and they're just, they got ones, they got sacrificial ones, they got ones that are, using
Well, even more rudimentary than that, and the reason I say
airstrike
it
or whatever.
is at the beginning 3 years ago, I watched Sky News documentary on YouTube, and they're talking to these Ukrainian cats who are basically sitting in a basement 2, 3 miles from the front lines, and they're sitting behind a laptop with an Xbox
Mhm.
controller flying these drones. So, I mean, with the exception of the poor son of bitches that are boots on the ground, yeah, it kind of almost is. And that we're already
Mhm.
seeing, drone controlled tanks and drone controlled submarines now. Um, which I just found out interviewing a guy on What's the Scuttlebutt. Did you know the Japanese had kamikaze mini subs?
I didn't know
Like
that.
Me neither.
now or
No, back in World War II, we knew about the kamikaze planes. They basically took torpedoes that had a big enough circumference to fit a single pilot inside, put basically a bubble on top, and made man-made controlled torpedo kamikaze torpedoes in
Oh
World War
wow.
II. I never knew about that. He's writing a book on it now, Dan King. It just
wow.
goes to show that's just 90 years ago. It's just one more thing you didn't know they were doing.
Honestly, that whole thing, the suicide bomber thing, the kamikaze thing, all that stuff is like that's bananas.
Well, the interesting thing, and if you guys go on YouTube, we just did an interview with him about he cool story about it. You guys can go there. Long story short, you guys familiar with the movie Wind Talkers? Had Nicolas Cage in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe.
Dan King was the military advisor for the tanks on Wind Talkers because he knows Japanese. He knows all about Japanese tank history, and when he was the advisor, the art department just put generic stamps on the Japanese tank. He's like, no, I sent you guys the logos. And the art department's like, well, who cares? He's like, well, if a Japanese war veteran's watching this, I want it to feel authentic. And like, well, it's a waste of time. So fine, I'll go to the director. And like, okay, well, I'll go to John Woo, I think it was. No, we'll do it. So long story short, about 6 months after the movie comes out, somebody reaches out to him. Lo and behold, a Japanese tanker was in the theater, and it was the tank symbol from his battalion. Fast forward years, he went over, interviewed this guy. This guy survived the war. Like him and two people were the only survivors of his tank battalion. He went back to Saipan, found two Japanese tanks in the landfill, brought them home. It's a crazy story, but he writes World War II books about the Japanese from their viewpoint, but he doesn't, there's no Japanese indoctrination, there's no Japanese uh, propaganda, there's no it's just, here's what these guys experience fighting for their country. And it's very, and he gets into that sort of thing, the whole warrior mentality and the, honoring the empire and all that stuff. And if you want a non-biased, interesting view on what it's like to have been the quote unquote enemy fighting against us, his books are really good at that because it's almost like the Sanzi Iwo Jima movie, right? We had Flags of Our Father, which was our standpoint, and then they did the Letters from Iwo Jima from the Japanese standpoint, and you got a clear view of what they went against without the boogeyman mentality. Because and we were talking about that in the last episode. Regardless of what country you fighting for, in order to make the public stomach the war, you got to make sure the other side give them a boogeyman mentality. And so we did it to the Japanese did it to us, and all that. But when you read his books, you don't all that crap's left out. You just get an honest viewpoint of what these guys went through. And so, but yeah, it's when he
Yeah.
said he's working on now, it's like Kamakami torpedoes. I didn't know that was a thing.
I'd honestly be curious to hear it from like a defeat standpoint too,
Hmm. Well,
because as America as a country, we haven't ever lost a war, have we?
Vietnam,
I mean,
technically.
but I
We
mean
didn't
that was more
lose.
of
We
like a
left because they pulled the budget for it. But
right. That was more of a withdrawal than it
and
was
that's what he
anything
talked
else.
about. He said in Japan after the war, their own people treated them like shit because they were losers, and kind of like how the Vietnam vets were shit on by our public, by the hippies, the
Right.
Japanese vets. And the cool thing was that since he speaks Japanese and writes Japanese, he got to interview these vets without the interpreter, right? Because when
Right.
you do it through an interpreter, it slows the conversation down. So since he's talking to these guys in their own language, the conversation is more fluid and it brings up memories and there's no pause and waiting for the translator. And so he really gets the information. And because he knows the words and he knows the topic of World War II,
Hmm.
I think he said, for example, the Japanese refer to their bayonets. Basically, the word they used for bayonet was like beetroot. And so a translator might be confused, like they were attacking Marines with beets, like the vegetable. No,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but basically, yeah, because of his ability to know the language, he can get these really in-depth stories out of these guys. And so,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just crazy. But
Hmm.
I don't know, man. Every day
Yeah,
something crazier
that
happens.
that'd be something I'd be interested in hearing it from, somebody who's experienced that defeat and what it's like to live with that, and like how do you go like balls out, I want to harm this country, I want to do this for my country, I know what I'm fighting for, blah 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 blah, to losing a war or a battle and then having to go home and sit with that because you survived.
Hmm. And
That's that.
how do you not get real resentful? Because, you
Right.
hear it all the time. The reason we had World War II was because of the Treaty of Versailles and the policies and rules and fines levied against the Germans for paying back to the damage they caused during World War One, which caused inflation and resentment and all that crap, which gave rise to scapegoatism and anti-Semitism and trying to find somebody to blame all your problems on.
Right.
And so, yeah, just one thing just leads to something else.
Right.
Well, just imagine fighting, fighting the Americans, and then all of a sudden, basically, your country is essentially run by Americans, because
Sure.
they had, overseers basically after the war. All those countries did.
Or even
Sure.
worse, Mao Zedong and the Chinese communists came to try to take over your shit, right? You had to fight against them for all the Chinese stuff. But well, not only that, but to Morgan's point, not only did and Mike's point, not only did you lose the war, but you lost a war for a society who looks at surrender as cowardice.
Right.
So not only did you lose the war, but you survived. If you weren't supposed to, if you're not allowed to surrender and you're supposed to kill 10 Americans before you died and you were in combat, what are you doing here? Why didn't you, do an honor killing or bonsai charge? How come you're still here? And
Right.
so it's even harder. It's one thing to come home and feel like your country doesn't get what you went through or they resent you for losing, but to come home and everyone's like, you're not even supposed to be here. You should have died on the battlefield. It's even worse, I would imagine.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I had a thought the other day, and we may have talked about this at some point, but I think it's something we can all kind of relate to, unless, you're born with a silver spoon in your mouth. And that is growing up, are there certain things that, for whatever reason, you were led to believe that those are rich people items? Maybe you couldn't quite afford it. Maybe it was a restaurant. I want to put out this one caveat. Don't say Jordans and starter jackets because they were overpriced and they were for rich people. When the average cost of shoes was $50 and you're paying 150 for Jordans, for you young cats, I made a TikTok about this and I was half serious. Somewhere right now is a guy in his 50s serving out a life sentence because when he was 17, he shot somebody for his Jordans or his starter jacket. That was a thing. You heard about it on the weekends. Chicago, New York, Detroit. People wanted Jordans and starter jackets so bad, especially Chicago Bull jackets, that they were stabbing and shooting people for them.
At what time
Yep.
frame?
This was late 80s or the peak of the Jordan dynasty. So what, 89
Okay.
through 93?
Yeah.
Yeah, like people were actually robbing and stabbing and shooting people for their Jordans and their starter jackets.
Right.
So the caveat being you can't say Jordans because yes, Jordans were for rich people. But I'll give you an example. Something as minute as when I would go to a friend's house and they're having like a barbecue. They had sesame seeds on their buns.
Ooh, you didn't have that flat ass toasted bun. How about a
Buns in
piece of
general. We
bread?
had a piece of bread.
Yeah,
I was
a
gonna
piece of
say,
white bread.
Well, and that's the point, right? It's like we're usually eating bread, but every once in a while, mom got a pack of some fucking Wonder Bread
Yeah,
buns.
that was only when company was over. We were having a barbecue outside.
yeah,
Mhm.
that piece of white bread was a hot dog bun, a hamburger bun. I
Everything, sandwich,
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
Toast.
Hamburger buns were for highfalutin folks.
Yeah, that was a
What was your
luxury.
household's idea of toast? How would you make your toast?
Uh,
Well,
Well, I
I
mean,
guess more broadly,
we
cinnamon toast, for example.
well,
Oh,
cinnamon toast was a treat. I
Hmm.
mean, cinnamon and sugar. But again,
We always had
that's
cinnamon because cinnamon was like what 30 cents a can. My
yeah,
sister was addicted to cinnamon, but we
yeah.
would take the
but
butter, put it on the bread, and then put it in the microwave.
Okay.
So it wasn't even toasted. It was like this
It
sloppy,
was
gooey
just
mess.
soggy.
It was a
Yeah.
soggy, buttery ball of cinnamon and sugar.
No, I did at least have a toaster.
Here's an
I
element.
had a
I can
toaster.
remember this distinctively. So my parents got divorced when I was, God, probably 4 or 5, and my mom was dating around. So I think she was 20 at the time. And I remember this. So I had to been like, I wasn't even in kindergarten yet. This is the type of shit that sticks in your kids' heads. He wanted lunch, and we went to this magical new place. Now I didn't get it. My mom didn't get it. We couldn't afford it. But she picked up some for him, and I wanted. So, oh, let's try this place. And she said, no, it's too expensive. Fucking Arby's.
Ooh.
Arby's roast beef sandwich, French fries, and a drink was a bridge too far for us in 1982 and a half.
Mm, that'll
yeah,
do
I
it
don't
right
know. I
there.
mean, Arby's used to have the 5 for 5 deal back when I was, a
That
kid.
was in the 90s. I'm talking early 80s. And and to prove this point, where did poor people get the roast beef sandwiches, Morgan?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, didn't really
Racks.
have a roast. Well, see, we didn't have that on the West Coast.
In
Well, at
Midwest,
least
you
the
had it
Northwest.
was Racks, RAX. You'd go. My brother worked at Racks. You'd go to Racks because you couldn't afford Arby's. Yep.
What is Rex?
It's a poor man. It's literally a poor man's Arby's. It's roast beef
Okay,
sandwiches and curly fries at a lower price point.
gotcha.
It's literally it's the I don't know. It would be
We didn't have that down here either.
if
So
Wendy's
The,
was Arby's and McDonald's was Racks.
okay.
Because I think it's still fair. It used to be fair to say that Wendy's was a step above McDonald's as far as meat quality and chicken quality. Now it's about the same, but back in the day, it was definitely a step up.
so Rax bought the stuff that Arby's rejected.
Yeah, or they got it from the vendors that from Mexico.
Mm.
What's an item for you, Morgan, that when you got to 20 and you bought it, it's like, wait a minute, this shit ain't expensive. Are we that poor?
Kraft macaroni and cheese.
Really?
Yeah,
Damn.
I thought that store brand mac and cheese was that was all we ever had. Kraft was like for the rich folk.
When I
And
came down
then
when I came down, my mom lived in Clearwater for a little bit of period of time when I was in elementary school. She tried to start anew here in Florida where, people go for dreams. She used to shop at a store in Clearwater called Dents Makes Sense. And that's where basically when Publix put a hole in a bag of dog food or the can got dented,
Dented
they couldn't
cans.
sell it. It was basically the Bell's outlet of grocery stores. So we'd go to Dents Make Sense, and you would get it to that point, to Morgan's point, and there used to I early days when I worked at Stan Haney, I filmed a Facebook video and I can't find it. I wish I could. There was a store on West Palm Beach, just like remember the old poor cereal that just said cereal on it? It was a white box that said cereal in black font,
yeah,
or it'd say soup. There was a store on West Palm Beach, just a white sign that said store in black font. So much. But yeah, that was a thing. Adam Carolla would talk about it. It was a white can that just said beer on it in black font.
that's what my grandpa drank. But they were like the little
White
keg
label.
bottles,
Hmm.
white label. It said beer, and the coolest thing was inside the cap. It had the little pictograph puzzles. So he'd throw all of his beer caps in a 5 gallon bucket, and when we'd go to visit, we'd sit on the porch and just figure out these puzzles for 8 hours a day.
Before we get the mics, I just want to say before I forget, shout out to just a handful of you, some new subscribers on the What's in Your Head YouTube page. Ryan Wolf, heads up, liked us 2 days ago. M Bongo Kitchen and More, 4 days ago they subscribed. Ronald J.N. Laurent, new subscriber. And the Mark Corson, there's more. Those are just the ones that popped up when I went to the channel today and got the little bell. So thank you guys for subscribing. If you guys haven't done so, head over to youtube.com and look for the What's in Your Head podcast. And it's a channel that's just all of our content, a lot of the old videos, and some of the new stuff gets put up there too. So head over there and like and subscribe and help us get the numbers up over there as well. Shout out to you guys for subscribing to the channel. Mike, How about you? It'd be interesting because of the you grew up in a time, no, you're not tremendously younger than us, but it is fair to say you grew up in a time when things became more plentiful as far as just random shit. And what I mean by that is we've talked about before when I forget the name of the movie. There was a Netflix special that came on that had Jessica Biel and Justin Timberlake. It was a true story about a housewife in like some suburban neighborhood who killed some people in like the 1970s and early 80s. And I'm watching this show and I'm like, we had that clock, we had that couch, because back then there was like 5 manufacturers. And so everybody had the same shit. And so prices were higher. Nowadays, everything's made in China, everything's you were before Amazon, but you were still coming up in a time where shit was a little more plentiful. But was there something particular that was out of the reach for you that looking back and you're like, well, what the fuck?
Anything that wasn't at the dollar store. My mother shopped at the dollar store for my toys. That was where we went, and not let's not get it confused here. Not Dollar General, okay? The dollar store, where
Mom
it was
and pop
literally
dollar store.
everything was 99 cents or below.
Were you a GoBots boy?
A what?
Oh no, you're a little old for that. So back when the Transformers were a big thing.
A GoBots? Is that what you said?
Yes, back when the Transformers were a big thing. Transformers were too expensive at $3.25 a pop. So if you're poor, you got GoBots instead. Which I think Kevin Smith makes reference to those in Clerks too. But a friend of mine was a GoBots boy. He had all the GoBots, and then he had the generic G.I. Joe Army Men, not the little green Army Men, but the action figures from the dollar store. It was a bag of for 50 cents. You got 100 of them, and the guns were all bent down. No, I'm not talking about the Green Army Men, but there was actually the 3-inch figures, action figures, but they were knockoff G.I. Joes. They were like, instead of G.I. Joes, like Army Rob.
Yeah.
Yeah. They had like 2 left hands.
Yeah. Pretty much. If, my mother, she went to the dollar store quite often. Now, I grew up in a split household, so, my father did a little bit better than, my mother did. And, my mother shopped at the dollar store, whereas, my dad and my stepmom would have, shopped at like Walmart or something like that. So I did have some nice things there. When it came to my mother's house, it was more on the cheaper side of things just because we couldn't afford it. All of my clothes, by the way, were hand-me-downs from my brother at my mother's house. I never really got anything new at my mother's house. Literally everything that I got, I stole from my brother, except underwear and socks.
I remember, God, I was probably in first grade. My birthday. My grandmother got them for me. Lee jeans, not Levi.
Ooh, I got a pair of those right now.
Because we were wearing, not even Wrangler, but we were wearing like corduroy and just,
tough skins
from Gold Circle. Gold Circle was a store back in the day. I remember and we were fixated by the little leather Lee logo on the back.
I got a pair right now.
To that point, I was talking about Arby's, and this was a joke in my family for like 2 years. It was my birthday. I was probably 5th grade, no, maybe 1st or 2nd, because I was still living in Kentucky. No, I'd have been kindergarten or 1st, because I was still living in Kentucky. It was my birthday. I was with my Nana and Pawpaw, my grandpa. It's your birthday, Donnie. What do you want? You can go any restaurant you want. Any restaurant you want. Where do you want to go for your birthday? Where do you guys think I chose?
McDonald's.
Goddamn right I did. If we couldn't afford Arby's, we never went to McDonald's either. And so for my birthday, I wanted
Yeah.
McDonald's. Could have went to Chuck E. Cheese. Didn't know what that was. Showbiz, forget that.
I
No,
never went to Chuck E. Cheese as a kid.
we did when my dad started making some money. So basically, my dad hightailed. There's an old joke. What do you get in Northern Kentucky when you graduate high school? A diploma and a map to Columbus. So my dad made that pilgrimage to Columbus, and so him and my stepmom started making some money. So by the time we got into high school and middle school, time I got into probably seventh, eighth grade, we were by that point lower middle class. But once again, we had 6 kids. And one of the greatest things my parents ever pulled off from the time I was second grade until 2026, our budget for Christmas was $100 per kid because there were 6 of us.
Hmm.
And but yeah, so by the time I got into middle school and high school, the money was there. But by that time, once I turned 15, I got a job. So I started buying my own clothes, my own skateboard shit, and all that stuff. But from second grade until I got a job, all my clothes came out of the J.C. Penney catalog because it was
That'll
just
do it.
easier because my parents both worked full time. They didn't have time to go school shopping. So it was Christmas and school year. Those catalogs showed up. Here's a pen, circle what you want. And I remember I got a pair of Nike shoes. I said, "Ooh, got some Nike shoes." And then I spent the summer with my mom, and as poor people do, we burn trash. And I remember we were burning some trash, and I was stomping out something, and there's a smell. The soles of my Nike shoes melted because they were Nike, but they were J.C. Penney catalog Nike, so the soles were made out of hard plastic, and so instead of rubber. And so from stomping out some of those ashes, the plastic sole on my shoe melted.
Man, you want to know how
Oh,
redneck we
man.
were? We had a couch. We fucking cut that fucking couch up and put it in the burn barrel piece by piece and fucking burnt that damn couch instead of taking it to the dump to spend money that we didn't have to dump it
Well, and that's
because the couch was ruined.
yeah.
We had a dog that tore it up and
Well,
ate the
that's
fucking
why
cushion
that
and all
is
that shit
exactly
out of it.
why we have a new boat ramp here. Because the old
Eh,
boat ramp got shut down because Cape Coral had to close
dumping.
off the entire side of my old neighborhood
Hmm.
because they were supposed to make that into a park. They never did. And so all these mom and pop construction crews who are out doing demo who can't afford to pay $300 to drop off a truckload of shit dump it back there.
Hmm.
And that's what
And now you know where they're going? Lehigh.
hmm And Adam Kroll was talking on his podcast. He's like, yeah, it was like 2 or 3 years ago. He was at some hoity-toity place and had the mayor there and city council members, and he was talking to him. He's like, look, I have warehouses. My warehouses are by the interstate. Every day I go out and there's toilets, drywall, appliances in the alley. And we're like, well, we don't know why. He's like, I can tell you why. He said, because these guys can't afford to go pay to drop it off at the dump. If you guys truly cared about the city and the cleanliness, you need to go down to Home Depot and make it known that if you're construction crews or demo crews, you can get vouchers for free drop off. He's
Hmm.
like, if you guys weren't charging these guys an arm and leg to dump the shit at the dump, they wouldn't dump it in the alley behind my building. They would
Right.
take it to the dump. But
Right.
because you make it cost prohibitive, and this being LA and everything's so expensive, when you're paying a quarter of what you made off your job on dumping fees, you can't afford to do that. It's
Right.
either we dump it in the alley and I can pay one of you payroll this week, or we take it to the dump and sorry, dude, maybe next week. Of course they're going to dump it.
Well, this dude out by my sister's house, there was a they live at the very end of a street, and then at the end of the street there's a canal, and it cuts the street in half.
Mm-hmm.
And it does that a few times out there. And they had one property next to them, and it was one of the sand pits where all the, four-wheelers and shit are out there
Sure.
doing their thing. Been there for years, whatever. Somebody apparently bought it, and late at night or late in the evening one evening, he come up with he's got like an F450 dually or whatever, came rolling through in the sand pit and was throwing his cinder blocks and shit out there. And my brother-in-law was like, whoa, 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 whoa. First of all, who the fuck are you? Second of all, why the fuck are you out here? And third of all, why are you dumping shit out on this piece of land because he didn't know it. Apparently, it had gotten sold.
Mm-hmm.
So he called the cops. Cops came out. The guy produced the paperwork, and he was like, "All right, well, whatever," you know. But yeah, so apparently now these half-assed subcontractors, they'll spend because right now plots of land out there, even a half-acre lot out there is only 25 or $35,000. They'll go drop some money on that, dump all their fucking trash or garbage or, extra material
Mm-hmm.
out there and stack it neatly out there and they'll call it a fucking day. And then they'll probably sell the property. They'll probably make money on the property and then the next person has to pay the cleanup fee
Mm-hmm.
when they want to go put a house on it. So,
Crazy.
yeah.
Or you just wait
And
till there's enough shit out there to build a house.
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
store brand beef sticks.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I'd go to my buddy Danny's house and he would have store brand, just styrofoam tray with some beef sticks and some cellophane over it. To me, I was like, ooh, hey, Danny, come here. Got any of those beef sticks? I had never had a beef stick before that. That was highfalutin stuff.
Yeah.
What's another item for you, Morgan?
Well, I was talking to my guys about it today
Mm-hmm.
because I get their input, but they're all young cats. So, I was thinking about if you had cable TV,
Uh-huh.
you were rich.
Uh-huh.
A cordless phone, you were
Ooh,
rich.
that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But and then, the thing that I thought about is
What
if
was
you
richer?
even
What was richer to you, cable TV or satellite?
Satellite.
satellite, yeah, definitely
100%.
because
But it
Satellite.
depended where you
because
lived, though, because if you lived in the sticks, you couldn't get cable, so satellite was the only option, but it was still more expensive.
well, and then you had to have property because you had to have that big radio microscope dish in the back of
Yeah, for you
your
young
house.
cats, it wasn't like the dish that you used to see 10 years ago. It was 18 inch, though. These things were nine
That was a
foot
that
diameter.
it was a yard ornament.
Hmm.
That was a
Oh
yard
yeah.
ornament.
And every young skateboarder in the neighborhood had the fantasy of knocking that son of a bitch over and skateboarding.
Turn it into a damn bowl.
Yep.
We knew somebody who had one, a big black one. It was out in the backyard.
I had an uncle.
And that damn dish was what, like 8 feet across?
Yeah, and those were the metal mesh ones. Then you had the white
Yeah,
plastic fiberglass ones.
right.
I had an uncle in the 2001, 2002. He would go around the yard sales and buy the Dish Network boxes and pull the cards out of them because he had gone on the internet and bought a rewriter. And so he would rewrite his own cards instead of paying for service.
My dad, I think, I want to say that I remember my dad did that one time. It cost him like $50. And he got a card from a guy that he already had the receiver because he got
Mhm.
the
Yep.
promotional thing, and it was so much a month or whatever. And then once that ran out,
It
they
had like a
wanted to
giant
jack the
SIM
price
card the
up.
side of a debit card you
Yeah.
slide in the front.
It was like a big debit card you slid in the
Mhm.
front. And I think I remember him paying some dude that he worked with or whatever that did this on the side, or honestly, it might have been a family member of mine. But you slid that card in and it gave you access to every channel that they had to
Everything.
offer. Every single one. And that was wild.
I, the only thing I
Well,
could
that
think that
was
would make sense is there had to be some sort of code or access accounts for field technicians to use to test
Yeah.
service. And that must have leaked on the internet. So people were getting these writers to write that. And then, because what would happen is they would get audited and their card would stop working because they would change the number. And that shit went on for years. Did
Well,
you
I
guys?
think I think that card, honestly, because I had like one of those, like a chip in it,
Hmm.
and when you slid it in there, I think that just recognized that was,
An active account.
that right, and that, well, even if it just had it was like a phony baloney thing where it
Yeah.
just it was one of those things where you plugged it in, it just fucking worked.
Hmm.
Um,
When I worked at the ambulance plant, there's a guy who he was one of the engineers. He was soldering the chips, the mod chips in the PlayStation 2s. So
Yeah.
you would have this chip put in there, and then you could use Nero, the early version of Nero CD burner, and
Ooh.
you can go to Blockbuster and you would rent the PlayStation games and you could rip them with Nero. Well, I didn't
Yeah.
have the skill set to put the chips in, but I had the computer knowledge, and so I started undercutting his market because what he would do is he would install the chip in your PlayStation for 25, $50. He did mine, and then you could buy games off him for 10, $15. Well, I had a computer, I had a burner, I got a hold of Nero, so I started undercutting him and selling the games and pissing him off. But I would do this. I did that for about a year. I'd go to Blockbuster, rent the games, go home and rip them and sell them to the other people who bought the mod chips off of him but didn't want to pay his $15 for the games. I would undercut them, sell them for $8 a piece.
I used to sell CDs before I mean, MP3s were a thing, but they weren't popular yet because
Mm-hmm.
iPods hadn't really taken off yet. So everybody still had a CD player. And I was really good at finding stuff that nobody else could find, but I did torrent files,
Mm-hmm.
and it was all P2P file sharing and stuff like that. And you had to have multiple programs in order to find the torrent file and then download it to the computer, and then an antivirus software, and then an anti-malware software, like all this shit just to get this file. And then I sometimes I used to do it in iTunes if it would let me, but sometimes iTunes would block it. iTunes got too smart for its own good at some point.
Yeah.
So I ended up having to use, I think it was Windows Media Player that was
Yeah, and then what
easily,
Windows
because they
Media
had no, it was
Yeah,
just
and then
fucking
around
the Wild West.
2008, Windows Media Player starting, and which was complete bullshit.
Yeah.
You would go to the store, buy a CD, because by then what we would all do is we got so tired of our CDs getting stolen out of our car, or more importantly, they would just get scratched.
Yeah.
And so what I started doing is buying the CD and then ripping copies and
Hmm.
playing the copies in my car, and then when they got scratched, I just throw them in the trash and burn a new copy.
Right.
But and I can remember this because I ran in this in as recent as 2010 working at computers. Windows Media players would start putting limits on how many times you could rip your own CD that you bought. So you would put the CD on your hard drive and then make a copy, and then like after the fifth one you burnt, they wouldn't let you burn anymore
Yeah.
because they're treating it like you're like selling them or some shit.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah, I did that
Morgan, you'll feel this with every
for
fiber of your
years.
being. Red Lobster.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that was high
luxury.
class, man.
Luxury.
Or I don't know, did you have Chi-Chi's?
We didn't have chi-chis. We had so if you like a big thing was Stuart Anderson's. Did you have Stuart Anderson's?
Mm-mm. So Chi-Chi's
So
was
it
the
was
Mexican restaurant equivalent of an Olive Garden. And like,
okay.
oh, we're going to Chi-Chi's to get some fajitas and burritos. Of course, this is Ohio and Kentucky, so that was, Mexican food. Ooh, that's like traveling the world. Now Mexican food's
It
so
was like
ubiquitous.
Tex-Mex too.
Yeah, right. Anything with cheese is Tex-Mex, but yeah,
Yeah.
and so you would
So
you would get on your Sunday best to go to Chi-Chi's and Red Lobster, and now you're like, it's no, nothing
what
fancy.
about Sizzler?
Ooh, no, you know what it
Never
was?
never been to one.
No, Ponderosa.
Okay.
We're
I've
going to
heard
the
of both
fucking
of them, and I've never been to
Ponderosa.
either one of those.
Sizzler and Ponderosa is basically the steakhouse equivalent of a buffet.
Yeah,
It
pretty
wasn't a
much.
buffet per se, but here's the format. You'd walk in, you'd get a lunch tray, a steaming hot plate, that red cup that you got at Pizza Hut in the 80s. You pay for your food, and just like the cafeteria at school, you go down, they would give you a plate of green beans, and then they would give you a T-bone or a prime rib or sirloin. And it had the grill mark, and it was cooked on over an open flame, but there was no what they'd bring you refills, but it was you paid up front like a buffet. You went through the line. It was more of a steakhouse cafeteria-esque type thing. That was a thing for a while.
Oh
See,
yeah.
my mother and my mom, my stepmom, um, they made food.
Yeah.
They cooked all the time.
Hmm.
So going out to dinner was rare. We
Mm-hmm.
didn't do it that often. It was usually a special occasion or something like that. And even then, when I was with my mother, going out to eat consisted of like going to McDonald's
Yep.
or
Same here.
let's stop and get like 6 double cheeseburgers or whatever and 4 medium fries and bring them home.
Mm-hmm.
No drinks because we got
You got
drinks at
drinks at
home.
home.
Right. Um, and then when I was with my dad and mom, my stepmom, it was we had dinner every night.
Mm-hmm.
Mom cooked, and um, if they went out, it was usually a special occasion, and a lot of times it was a not for children special occasion, so I didn't really usually get to go a
Well,
lot of
that was the
times.
thing too.
Every now and
Adult.
again, I did. I'm not gonna say that. I don't want them to watch and be like, "What the fuck?"
Well, that
Because
was the
it's
thing
not
too,
true.
though.
But
That's something we. When's the last time, as a parent, Mike, you said this is an adult toy, with the exception of your butt plug? But like, for example, in our age, we perfect example. When I was in elementary school, my uncle had video cameras. He
yeah,
owned a Z-Bart in Terre Haute. He was rich. Can I
okay,
see your video camera? No, this is an adult toy.
yeah,
These are adult items. These aren't for kids. Nowadays, here, touch my $2,000 iPad, touch my 4,000.
yeah.
When's the last time someone said this is an adult time, adult conversation, adult toy, adult item?
Oh, yeah.
Never.
When
I'd still try to implement that. Now, obviously, the electronics thing, because yeah, an iPhone is, 14 to $1,500 nowadays.
But $23 a month.
But exactly that you could, okay, shit happens. You know what I mean? If you break it, you need a phone. I gotta get you one. Whatever. It is what it is. Um, but yeah, that I still try to implement. Like, and my wife has even, mentioned it a few times where it's like, you remember the phrase "children are to be seen and not
Not heard.
heard."
Mhm.
I used to hate
That's
that
when you look
phrase
at her and say
growing
there was
up.
a phrase too called "shut up and look pretty."
Yeah. I used to fucking hate that phrase when I
Mm-hmm.
was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And my stepmom used to use that phrase on me all the time. And
My mom would say, "I have one nerve and you're on it."
yep, yep,
Or I brought you into this world, I can take you out of it.
yep, that my mother said that to me on a regular basis. On a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those phrases I still implement that stuff because I think it's important that your kids shouldn't be necessarily afraid of you, but
It doesn't hurt.
yeah,
Well, but they should know their place.
they should know
Let's,
their
And
place.
but
and
A hundred
what's that?
percent.
go ahead, Morgan.
And my thing is, I knew when I was a kid
Yeah,
when it was time to shut the hell up and get scarce.
right.
And I think that we don't separate our kids from day to
Anything.
day life.
Right.
And like I didn't know until my parents were divorced that they were getting a divorce.
Right.
Well, and to
You
that point,
know,
and we've spoke about this in the past, growing up, the idea of walking into our parents' bedroom when they weren't home was like the kids on Stand By Me going into that junkyard.
oh
No.
no,
No.
hell no.
No. Absolutely
It was
not.
like the caper of the century to sneak into their closet around Christmas time to get a peek at what you got. Other than
Yeah.
that, you did not go in there unless they gave you permission to go call your grandma on the phone and thank them for your. You never went in there. And
Nope.
nowadays, it's just like you come home, your kids are sprawled out on your bed watching TV. So you
Yeah.
have a TV in your room.
Yeah. No. No. I didn't, growing up, that was a thing. Like my mother didn't care, but I didn't want to go in my mother's room anyway.
There was nothing in there.
I was not interested in being in my mother's room based on previous experiences too. So my father and my stepmother, when she came into the picture, she was like, "What are you doing?
There's no reason to be in there.
Why are you in here?" I don't know. Well, don't come into our room. Oh, okay. I didn't know because when I was real little,
Yeah.
when my father and my mother were going through their separate, I mean, they were never married, but
Hmm.
separation and, all that shit. Um, I slept with my dad, because I wasn't big enough. I didn't have my own room yet or anything like that. So I slept with my dad, and
Didn't
I
have a
was used
bed
to
too
that.
big for the sock drawer.
Yeah. I was used to that. So when when my stepmom came into the picture, she was like, "Well, this is fucking weird."
Mm-hmm.
And she put the kibosh on that immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew immediately like that don't ever go in their room ever. And I never went in their fucking room unless they told me to. And I did that with my son too. Like the only time that he comes in our room is like at night when he's getting ready to go to bed. He'll say goodnight and the whole, the hugs and all that stuff. Even, still as a teenager, he does that. Um, but he knows like don't come into my fucking room. Like that's my sanctuary. That's
Mm-hmm.
where I get the fuck away from everything.
Mm-hmm.
So don't disrupt my shit,
I
So
just
so let me ask you guys a related question to that.
Yeah.
This is totally not a boundary that my wife has set. But if your wives say, "Hey, go grab something out of my purse."
nope.
No.
Yeah, yeah, see, I don't either.
Uh-uh.
I will bring her the entire purse.
Only time I'd go in a purse was when I was lifting singles in high school. Need some gas money.
Now that's your mom's purse or your
Anybody's
wife,
purse.
because my wife, I don't have an issue going into her purse if she tells me to.
I don't have an issue, but that trigger's still there from when you're
Yeah.
growing up
Oh
and
yeah,
you don't
yeah.
touch a woman's purse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It drives my wife nuts because she'll be like, go get my chapstick out of my
There
purse."
you go.
And
Yeah.
I will bring her the
Yeah.
entire purse and set it down. And she's like,
Mhm.
you can. And I'm like, no,
Nope.
Nope.
I'm not doing it. And it's like a deep seated thing from 50 years ago.
Yeah.
You guys just reminded me. So last Friday, I got a phone call. Hey, Sariana locked her key in the car. Where's the spare at? Now,
Again?
before we got her car fixed, we had taken the keys away from her to keep her from driving the car because it was undrivable. And so Mike's more than familiar with my garage. Morgan, you may have seen it in some videos. I have a Cobalt workbench as a little cabinet on top of the flip up, three pull out drawers. Next to that, I have a 4 drawer Cobalt roller top with the 4 drawers and a flip up lid. Next to that, I have a standard Cobalt toolbox with the 3 drawers. And then I have my truck bed box bolted on the wall. And I'm like, well, the keys are out in one of my toolboxes. And she's like, well, we're going to look for it. I was like, well, does Siriana have any place to be? Does she have work? No. Okay, well, she has no place to be. She can wait until I get home 45 minutes from now.
Yeah.
I get home and they're out in the garage going through everything.
Mm-hmm.
And Carrie's annoyed, like, why do you have all this shit? You don't even work on cars. Or I'm like, well, clearly, if I have it, I acquired it somewhere.
Yeah.
But they had spent 45 minutes digging through all this stuff. And I just popped the top of the Cobalt right there. I looked through the bottom drawers because I couldn't remember if it was a key. Ended up cutting my finger on a, not the blank razor blade that I have, but a razor head from Dollar Shave Club that someone put in my drawer. So it wasn't the blank razor knife blade, but it was that. But yeah, anyhow, I popped it. But I was she's like, how can you find anything in here? It's like, because I'm the one who put it in there. It looks like a mess, but I can tell you where my Allen wrenches are and this and that. But it's kind of the same thing. Their purse is a huge mess. They know exactly where everything is. I'm going to bring the purse to you. But for whatever reason, you know, just wait till I got home. I could have saved you guys a lot of time and frustration looking for this
Yeah.
key because I knew it was in one of three places.
Yeah,
See,
my wife won't go in the garage.
Yeah.
She, I mean, well, at least in my portion of the garage, she doesn't go in there. And it's not.
Bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Melissa goes in the garage, but she only when I tell her to go in the garage, or if she's looking for something and I say it's in the garage, she'll go in there and go, and she'll be like, "Where's it at?" And I'll tell her. But otherwise, she's like, "Why do I need to go in there?"
And to that
And
point, you don't have
I'm a
open
pretty
razor
organized
blades in your
guy. So,
purse. I do. So maybe
right.
be careful
Right.
what you're looking through because there
But
are
see,
razor blades and shit.
I think too that's like an IT guy thing because your organization is like organized chaos.
Well, to be a little bit fair, what tends to happen is shit that's not good enough for the house gets put in the garage, and then I got to
Yeah.
find places for it. I only have so
Right.
much storage, and so
Right.
shit just gets crammed out of sight. I do need to
Right.
go through and clean up. To clean shit up, but yeah, it's a fucking hot mess out there.
Yeah. Well, and that your setup always reminded me of my stepdad, because my stepdad worked on computers and stuff for 35 years. And it always reminded me of him, because he had this drawer was full of, hard drives, and then
Mhm.
this drawer was full of, cables, and it wasn't just a certain kind of cable, it was all the cables.
Well, Morgan, because you don't know, Morgan, I have my Cobalt bench, but then next to it I have our old dresser. I just threw the mirror away, and I got my radial arm saw screwed to one end, and then I have all the drawers full of shit. So you can pull out a drawer that's literally full of screws and nails, another drawer is full of tape and paint and all that. So I utilize this old dresser as a workbench for storage. I've always wanted to, I just never got around to it. I wanted to take one whole side of the drawers out, break the dividers out, glue the drawer faces together, and make a hinged door just to put shop backs in there and stuff.
Yeah.
And actually utilize that space more than just having 15 drunk drawers, but I just never got around to it.
And 8 shop vacs just strewn about your garage.
I'm down to 3.
He's got the most shop vacs I've ever seen.
Well, because we had the big one, and I had miniature ones for myself and my dad, because when we would go to the veterinarians to work on their computers, we'd have to vacuum all the dog hair out. So yeah,
Right.
I have too many shop vacs and a 5-gallon shop vac.
Yeah. That really sucks.
It does suck
Yeah.
a lot. So much sucking.
That's a dad joke right there. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the What's in Your Head podcast. We've been threatening to get around to open carry. Maybe we'll do that on the next episode. Get Charles' opinion on that. It's always funny to me because open carry is like the cilantro of the 2A world. It's either you're for or you're against it, even if you're pro gun. Very rarely do you find somebody who's
Tastes like soap.
Come see. I love cilantro. I'm a
don't
pro
care for
cilantro
it.
guy.
I don't care for it.
Yeah. It can be like when you go to fucking Chipotle and homeboy puts a handful on there. It's like, no, dude, it's like a little dusting. I don't need a handful of cilantro.
That's
So it
also
can
why I
be a
don't care
brand.
for pico de gallo either.
Oh, I love pico. I make awesome pico.
Do you?
I love pico. The cilantro, I've had to train myself on that
You gotta
because
cut it fine.
I've got the genetic defect where it tastes like soap to me.
No,
So,
I can see it, but I like it.
but I've taught myself to eat it because Brita loves it, and I don't know. I was Army. I can eat anything.
You're the one true family man.
Hey,
When
Takes
it comes to
cilantro.
food, if you're willing to put down something that you are against, that is a true family man right there.
Here we go. To wrap it up, we're gonna wrap up this episode. Each of us will name one item that we still consume that carries over from our white trash days. To this day, I will happily peel a potato raw, put salt on it, and eat that motherfucker like an apple. Morgan,
oh wow!
we need more time to think. Mike can go.
I still eat store brand mac and cheese.
Okay. It's a good one.
Never moved up to shells and cheese. Too little rich for your blood. That
No,
was a
as a
jump.
matter of-
Going from macaroni elbow noodles
Oh,
to
yeah.
shells and cheese. That was a jump.
Well,
that was good
I
though,
actually
too, because it was a pocket of cheese inside the shells.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
To be fair,
But
it was cheese flavored goo, but we call it. You know, by the way, the phrase American cheese is a negative connotation to the rest of the world. Our cheese is a fucking joke. Kraft cheese is considered a joke anywhere in the world.
Hang on. The only
because
good
it's not
place,
cheese.
Yeah,
right?
it's cheese flavored goo
The only good place for it,
on grilled cheese sandwiches
and cheeseburgers.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the only two good places that it can go.
Yeah, provolone, a sharp cheddar. None of that stuff melts the way our
Nope.
cheese flavored goo
Mm.
melts.
Nope.
What about you,
Well,
Mike?
and it's,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's because real cheese isn't chemicals.
I know
Right.
it's cheese flavored goo.
Right.
What about you? What's one carryover that you still, food wise, you still consume?
Mater sandwiches.
Salt, tomato, mayonnaise, and bread. Basically BLT without the bacon and lettuce.
Yeah.
That's good.
Or
I can fuck with that.
my Italian grandfather used to grow
Mhm.
tomatoes, and it was just a little bit of salt, take a bite out
I
of
was
it.
gonna say, you can swap my
Same.
potato out with
Yep.
tomato as well,
Same exact thing.
because we were come from Irish farming stock.
Yep.
When we were poor in Kentucky, my mom would grow potatoes, green beans, and tomatoes. So it was just like, here's a tomato, put some salt on it, chow
Yep.
down. What's something you won't participate in? One thing I haven't eaten in years, two things, because not that once again, by this point, my parents were making money, but they both worked 50 hours a week, so they didn't have time to make gourmet dinners. Steak and shake chicken, shake and bake chicken, or pork chops for that matter,
Mm.
or pigs in a blanket.
Ooh.
Mm.
Yeah, I used to have pigs in a blanket once a week and shake and bake chicken or pork
Oh.
chops once in a week.
Oh,
Ah,
that's too much.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's too much. What do
Yeah,
you
I
think,
don't know
Morgan?
if I don't know
Nothing
if I've
says
got
quality pork
anything.
chop like oven roasted.
Mm.
I mean, I suppose that I probably, uh, I'll tell you, the one place that I do splurge is peanut butter. I won't do cheap peanut butter
No.
because we had back in the day before you had the EBT card, and we talked about this a little before.
Government
stamp.
We
peanut
would
butter.
get the government cheese, and we
Mhm.
get the white 5 pound can of
Peanut butter.
peanut butter with the white label on it.
Were you guys
And
so poor that you did the dehydrated milk?
oh yeah, we had powdered milk from the white box that said milk on it.
That was just the
Yeah.
government offloading shit they had from the World War II and the Korean War.
Oh, I'm sure it was.
They're overstocked.
But yeah, there's
Powdered eggs.
I don't know.
We
Ugh,
had that in the
gosh.
military.
Yeah.
we that was something that we could definitely have said that we had was just our MREs, and even like a hot fucking field meal or something like that. It was all just, it wasn't the greatest shit in the world, but man, when you were deprived, sometimes it
Oh
was the
yeah.
greatest meal on the planet.
During World War
When you saw
II, during the Pacific, the early days of Guadalcanal and all that, right after Pearl Harbor, we were so underprepared for war
Yeah.
that when they started emptying out the food stores and the warehouses to send to the Marines to go to the Pacific, after they blew through the K rations, they were pulling out not only food stores from World War One, there was stories of people finding hardtack from the fucking Civil War being distributed that was like in some old army warehouse somewhere.
Crazy.
Yeah.
For me,
Yep.
uh, something I wouldn't do again. Shit, I had it in my brain a second ago. Fuck, I lost it. Um,
Doom, 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 doom.
bologna,
How did you make your bologna sandwiches?
fried. Well, I'll do a fried
Ooh,
bologna sandwich.
highfalutin.
I'll do a fried one. But I mean, we're talking, it's a piece of bologna in a pan, toast or bread if you're really
That takes
not
time and
feeling it.
energy.
Little mayonnaise, slap it together, call it good.
Mayonnaise.
Yeah.
Fucking Daddy Warbucks over here. Mayonnaise. It was white bread, one piece of mustard, and one piece of bologna and a spiral of mustard. That was our bologna
Yeah.
sandwiches.
So being Italian, it was Taylor ham. Taylor ham, and it was another brand from a different part of Jersey that my dad used to love to get. But yeah, that
Vinny's
was
ham.
that was actually a luxury kind of for us because we didn't get it that often. But it was you get a log of it this big,
Mm-hmm.
and you just cut a thick slice of it and you fry it up in a pan and you just munch on it. But
What was it? Pickle wurst?
what
Was that a thing? Pickle wurst?
Oh no.
It kind of sounds familiar, but
Pickle. There was some sort of lunch meat Oscar Mayer sold.
Liverwurst.
Liverwurst was one, and then there was
liverwurst.
pickle something else.
There's another one called olive loaf.
The olive loaf, that's what it was. My mom would get
Yeah.
olive loaf.
Yeah.
Was it olive or pimento?
Oh, olive loaf.
They had
Okay.
pimento
Pimento's a
in
little
the
highfalutin.
olives too. When I was working in a deli and I was slicing up lunch meat and stuff, they had pimento olives
What was the
in the olive loaf.
every once in a while when we got a little highfalutin, it wasn't sausage. What do you put on the Italian that has like when you cut it, it almost has like cracked peppercorns in it? Not sausage. What do you put on an Italian sandwich? You got ham, sausage, salami. I think everyone, yeah, my
Salami,
mom
yeah.
would get Oscar Mayer salami every, or actually it was IGA brand salami every once in a while.
Yeah.
That was good.
The other thing that it was the bologna, and then the other thing that I had was fuck. I lost it again.
My grandma would make, we always called it little noodle soup. She loved it. It was Lipton brand chicken noodle soup, but it was basically came in a box and it was crushed bouillon cubes with some super tiny dehydrated noodles and some chicken broth. It was no chicken in it, but we called it was Lipton little noodle soup.
Hmm.
She would make that all the time.
Oh,
But
I figured it out. When I moved to North Carolina after the economy fell apart here
mm-hmm,
and construction died,
mm-hmm,
my dad got a job working at O'Reilly's, and mom got a job working at Long John Silver's.
the old Long Johns.
Let me tell you how over Long John Silver's I got real quick because, and everybody goes, "Oh, we love the hush puppies. We're gonna get an order a hush pup. Fuck your hush puppies. Fuck your fish batter, your beer battered fish. The only thing that was acceptable from that place that I could eat at any point after her working there and getting the overmade stuff at the end of the night was their breaded chicken, and
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to cut all the breading off because it just got it was too much. It was
And if
way
you
too
couldn't
much.
afford Long John Silver's, where did you go? Captain
Skippers?
D's.
Captain D,
Oh,
we had
okay.
that one too. Yep.
Captain D's
Yeah,
was
we
so
see. We didn't.
dedicated to the themes that I think their door jams are 5'7", like you're on a ship. I remember you had the duck in the door when I go to Cap
had-
because we had a
they
Captain
had
D's right
portholes,
next
too.
door to our Wendy's I worked at in high school.
They had portholes too.
Mm-hmm. Captain D's.
Our Long John Silver's was a combo with A&W.
Mm-hmm.
So you
A&W
could do
root
the
beer.
A&W
Wow.
root beers. You could do root beer floats and all that stuff. But yeah, when we first moved up there was no going there to pay for the food. It was whatever was overmade at the end of the night.
There's an attempt at unity in the early 2000s, late 90s. They said, how can we bring the poor white people together and the poor black folk together?
Oh yeah, put Popeyes and
No, Church's Chicken and White Castles.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep, they stacked a Church's Chicken and a White Castle.
That was definitely in your area because we didn't have any of that down here anyway.
Before we wrap it up, I love
Yeah.
this story. When I was married, my father-in-law at the time was a drunk. And one night we were on White Castles on the west side of Columbus. It was 1 a.m, and he ordered 5 sliders and some jalapenos. And the manager said, "Sorry, no jalapenos after midnight." Refused to give him jalapenos. Don't know why.
What the fuck?
So that was the joke in our house. No jalapenos after midnight. And on that note, we're gonna wrap it up. Thanks, guys, for hanging out. Until next week. No, I'm going to be in Texas next week. So the following week, when I get back from Texas, we'll talk to y'all later. For myself, Mike and Morgan. Bye. What are you, some sort of joke?
This has been a Digital 410 production.